Yo, what is up guys? It's me, Zackley, back bringing you some more NBA news and updates. Honestly, I didn't think I'd be back here making one of these videos again so soon. It's still the off season, so I was like, you know what, it's still gonna be kind of slow. I'll probably have to make a video in another couple of days. But as you guys can tell, clearly that's not the case. We are back, meaning that we got some more things to talk about that's been going on inside of the NBA. So with all of that being said, make sure you guys go ahead and destroy that like button. Let's aim for 3,000 likes for the return of the NBA news segment. But with that being said, let's just get into everything we gotta talk about today. Let's go. First up in the news. Now we all know that Chris Paul was traded to the OKC Thunder from the Houston Rockets in exchange for Russell Westbrook this summer. One of the biggest trades that the NBA saw over these past few months. And while it's widely assumed that Chris Paul will at some point be traded away from OKC, since it's not necessarily the best fit, since Chris Paul's looking to compete and the OKC Thunder are looking to rebuild, for the time being, Chris Paul will be remaining with the OKC Thunder because the trade market for him is pretty dry at the moment. So he's gonna have to take the first couple months of this season to show what he can still do, to prove that he can still play the game at a very high level. And then closer to the trade deadline, we can probably expect to see some Chris Paul trade rumors start to pop up. Anyways, today we have some news regarding Chris Paul and some advice he kind of gave to some younger players in the NBA about what it takes to stay in the NBA for as long as he's been there, but not only to stay in the NBA, but to play the game at the highest level for as long as possible. And this dude was spitting straight facts. So I hope the younger players out there take note of what he had to say, but I guess this is a good time to get into what exactly Chris Paul had to say. My competitive nature and my family and my team, all my homies that I grew up with and everybody who supports me, I think when I go out and play, it's never just about me. It's about my whole squad. I feel a lot better than I did a few years ago. And that's just from experience, learning, and never just being satisfied. I think one of the biggest issues with a lot of people is that they get in this league and they get complacent and they're like, oh, I'm here, I'll just be here. No, there's somebody coming to try and take your job. And for me, that's not an option. You're not going to take my job. No, like I said, every young player coming into, or that's already even in the league, needs to be taking notes of what Chris Paul just said, because he was spitting the whole truth and nothing but the truth. See, every NBA player, they already have to work extremely hard to make it to the NBA in the first place. You can have talent, but if you're not going to work hard, you're still not going to make it into the NBA. That's just how this works. It's only 450 roster spots, and there are millions of people nationwide or even worldwide trying to make it. So it's only the best of the best who've been putting in the work, grinding for years, who get to make it into the NBA. But here's the thing. Once a lot of players make it to the NBA, they feel like they done made it. They got the contract, they got the millions of dollars, they got the girls, they got the cars, they got the fancy houses. They're getting that luxury VIP NBA player treatment, and then they get satisfied. They're like, you know what? I made it, I accomplished my dream, I'm here, and now it's time to enjoy the fruit of my rewards. You know, they get lazy, they stop working as hard, and before you know it, guess what? They're not viewed as good as they used to be anymore, and maybe they're even outside of the league because all of the other players who didn't have that mindset continued to work, get better, strive, and all of a sudden, the gap between player A and player B becomes so small that player B passes up player A is no longer as good as they used to be, and maybe even fall out of the league completely. And Chris Paul knows better than anyone what it takes to be at the top of the league for so long, because he has always been, ever since he came into the NBA, regarded as one of the best point guards that the league has had to offer. Multiple-time All-Star, multiple-time All-NBA player. The guy is a first ballot Hall of Famer, so I'm begging any young players out there, or even not so young players out there who may have been slacking off, getting caught up in the nightlife of the NBA and all the glitz and glamour that it has to offer, to pay attention to what Chris Paul just said, because he just gave you the key to success. The key to success is freaking hard work, dedication, and consistency. That's it. It's simple, but at the same time, it's a lot easier said than done because there are so many distractions. Next up in the news. All right, yesterday we just talked about how Carmelo Anthony's camp has been trying to revert some of the damage that has been done to his name. They talked about how Carmelo Anthony was a scapegoat during his last time with the New York Knicks, with the OKC Thunder, as well as with the Houston Rockets. Also saying that they don't think Carmelo Anthony deserves all the hate that he's been getting. So Carmelo Anthony's camp has been working overtime to try and give the guy a better name, undo some of the damage that has been done. And that's what we had to talk about yesterday, but today it's a completely different story. All right, guys. So we have NBA executives out here basically responding to Carmelo Anthony's camp by saying, that's a load of BS. They're not buying it, and they see what's trying to be done. They just know that Carmelo Anthony's camp's trying to say and do anything to get Melo back into the league. As we got reports out yesterday saying that league executives do not think Carmelo Anthony is willing to sacrifice his game. They're not questioning whether or not he can still play. They're just saying that he is still a team cancer and that he will not fit into offensive systems, that he will try and play his style of play, which no one wants him to do anymore. Here's what they had to say. League executives don't seem to believe he is willing to accept a lesser role, and that becomes a distraction with a player of his star power from a media standpoint. The press conference in OKC when he laughed at the idea of coming off the bench still haunts his career. It put a black cloud over him, and he's viewed in front offices around the league. Teams don't really doubt whether he's talented enough still, it's whether or not he's going to deviate from his way of playing basketball. So they're saying, look, we know he can still play, we know he can still get a bucket when he wants to, but here's the thing. He's selfish. He always has been, and we have no reason to believe that that won't continue to be the case, and we do not want a selfish 35-year-old player who still views himself as a star on our roster. That's what the teams are saying, and of course we can see where they're coming from. Carmelo Anthony laughing when he was asked if he will be coming off the bench for the OKC Thunder was really the point of his career where everything started to go downhill at a rapid pace. There was hope for him after he left New York that he would be able to contribute as a good third option on a really good team, the OKC Thunder. The Thunder were supposed to be rivaling the Golden State Warriors that year, but as soon as Carmelo Anthony scoffed at the idea of coming off the bench and the OKC Thunder failed to improve with Paul George and Carmelo Anthony compared to when it was just Russell Westbrook, yeah, Melo started to take a lot of the blame, and his refusal to come off that bench the entire season, even when we thought it could help since the Thunder desperately needed help coming off their bench, was not a good look whatsoever. But here's what I have to say to that. In Melo's defense, he was willing to come off the bench for the Houston Rockets. He didn't play with the team for very long, but during his 10 games with the club, 8 of them were spent coming off the bench. And my whole thing with Carmelo and the Houston Rockets was, I just don't think Mike D'Antoni was going to give the guy a fair shot in the first place. Mike D'Antoni and Carmelo Anthony, of course, had some bad history since Mike D'Antoni got fired because of Melo during his time back in New York. They were butting heads back then, so the chances of them mending the fences were already kind of slim. We still know that Mike D'Antoni didn't quite like Carmelo Anthony, so he was already in the doghouse before the season even started, but he was willing to come off the bench for them, so I don't doubt that he'd be willing to come off the bench for another team. And hey, there are teams out there that could for sure use the scoring power of Melo coming off their bench. Some of these teams have straight trash benches, bro, so I don't see why Melo coming off the bench for some of them and being the offensive anchor of the second unit would be necessarily a bad thing. Like I said yesterday, a lot of these teams would have a lot to gain from signing Carmelo Anthony and not that much to lose. Next up in the news, I don't know if we can call this a rivalry just yet because they've actually never played each other, and let's not toss around the word rivalry so casually. I mean, there aren't that many in today's NBA, but still, a good rivalry, you'll know it when you'll see it. But one that has potential to bloom is the Pelicans versus the Lakers. Now, we all know that the Pelicans traded for the Lakers' young core in exchange for Anthony Davis. Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, and Brandon Ingram were sent to the Pelicans, and Anthony Davis was sent to LA. And we all know that the players that were traded from LA to the Pelicans do feel some type of way about being traded from LA. Lonzo Ball actually was just recently called out for taking a shot at the Lakers during his newest song, when he said, "You know I'm all about the business, LA going to regret their decision." And while he did deny that as a shot at the Lakers, he pretty much did say that he was going to try and make the Lakers look bad for trading him. So you already know that when he laces up against LeBron and AD, he's gonna be looking to send a message. Now though, we have to talk about another player taking a shot at LA, and this one is no way where he can say that this wasn't a shot. I mean, you don't come back from this saying, "Nah, that wasn't a shot, I was just talking." No, this was a straight up shot, as Josh Hart on his podcast yesterday that was featuring Lonzo Ball actually took a whole dump on the entire organization of LA. Man called it gloomy and said pretty much that no one wanted to be there. Take a listen to what this guy had to say.
It's solid. He's gonna have a good time. Lithuania was very depressing. I went there too to go visit him. I wouldn't do it again.
They got some shooters out there though.
Man, it's like, you been there?
Nah,
you been there?
I'm not going there.
No. It's like hella gloomy. Like nobody smiles. It's like everybody just hates that they're there. I'm like, damn.
Yeah,
I had to get out of there, bro.
Sounds like LA.
Nah, it's definitely not LA.
No, I'm not talking about the city.
Oh. I don't know what he's talking
What are
about.
you talking about, bro?
I don't know what he's talking about. Next question.
We're gonna edit this part out, so you might as well just tell us.
I was going to say the Lakers organization.
Oh shit, Miles cut. Miles cut.
Look, the young Lakers were all already on edge last year after the trade deadline. After all of their names were being thrown around and the Lakers made it known that, yo, we'll trade anyone or all of you in exchange for Anthony Davis. The young Lakers didn't really like that because in their eyes, they saw this because of LeBron James. LeBron James comes to the Lakers and all of a sudden, all of them are being threatened to be traded out of LA. They're like, yo, we've been here longer, so why is this guy coming to town and all of a sudden now we have to leave? They didn't agree with that. They wanted to grow as a young core together in Los Angeles. So there is resentment for the Lakers among these players. And like I said, when the Pelicans take on the Lakers at any point in the upcoming season, you can expect Lonzo Ball, you can expect Josh Hart, and you can expect possibly even Brandon Ingram to try and send a message. This is like a rivalry in the making right here. Pelicans versus the Lakers. And I want to say that it would be kind of awesome. I don't expect this to happen, but if it did, it would be the dopest thing if the Pelicans actually made the playoffs and then got matched up with the Los Angeles Lakers. That would be the must-watch series of the first round. Now for what will be our final story of the day. Lonzo Ball pretty much just exposed his dad, LeVar Ball, even further. All right, so we all know that Lonzo and LeVar had a bit of a falling out after Lonzo Ball accused LeVar's friend Alan Foster of stealing millions of dollars from him as part of that whole BBB Big Baller brand scandal. All right, after that, Lonzo Ball severed all ties with the brand, essentially leaving the brand to die. Lonzo was the face of the brand, so if he leaves, what's left of the brand? Who's gonna be buying ZO2s when Lonzo doesn't even support ZO2s anymore? And speaking of ZO2s, my God, the update that we just got about those shoes is insane. As on the same podcast that Josh Hart took shots at the Lakers, Lonzo Ball took shots at BBB, his dad, and those shoes. As get this, it turns out that the reason Lonzo Ball may have been injured so much during his first couple years in the league was because he was wearing the BBB ZO2 shoes. That's right, the shoes that Lonzo Ball was forced to wear as part of being a brand with his whole father thing caused him to miss so many games throughout the first couple years that he was with the Lakers. Take a listen to what Lonzo had to say.
No one knows the real story about them shoes, though.
It was about
them ZO2s I was playing in, they was not ready.
they were
Really?
No one knows this, but Demo had a backpack, and he had extra like 4 pairs of shoes in there, because I had to switch them every quarter, because they would just rip. I mean, that's if I had to say like why the first 2 games, like the real truth is like, yo,
You
the
heard it
shoes
here.
just wasn't ready. If you literally have my shoes from those games, like they're just like exploded, bro.
Why did you wear them? Just because you guys had like already
They're my shoes.
And
Like,
you're like-
I had to
and you're
debut
like-
them. Like
you
we
stirred
had
stirred
already
up the
gassed
hype
it.
and shit.
We went so far with it. I'm like, cool, I can get a quarter in, but that's it. We gotta switch them every quarter.
This is massive news. Not only did LeVar Ball cost Lonzo millions of dollars multiple times in his career, the first time when he said, you know what, we're not going with Nike, we're not going with Adidas, we're starting our own thing, and then of course the whole scandal. I mean, he costed him millions of dollars twice and maybe even more from the injuries and all the other stuff that could happen, but the guy could have ruined his whole career. He was dealing with all of these knee injuries because of the shoes that he was wearing. His dad knew that he was making some shoddy shoes. He knew that the shoes were no good, and yet he was like, you know what, Lonzo, it's all right. Go out there and hoop. It's for the brand, it's for the business. Go out there. We're gonna sell these shoes. You're gonna become huge, and you know what? You're gonna be like the next MJ. This shoe line is going to be massive. Well, guess what? It wasn't. It was a massive flop, and it boggles my mind that they were making these shoddy shoes and trying to sell them for so freaking much. These were $500+ shoes. And Lonzo Ball was talking about he would go through a pair every quarter. If Lonzo Ball could possibly like release some pictures of these shoes to show just how messed up they were after playing in an NBA quarter, that would be great. But it's also crazy that he was selling these shoes as basketball shoes to people worldwide. You want people playing in these shoes when Lonzo Ball was having knee injuries because of these shoes. Lonzo Ball didn't start having injuries until he started wearing ZO2s. And now you're selling those for $500 and messing up other people's knees, ankles, backs. Who knows how many injuries these shoes could have caused. That's insane. And this just makes LeVar Ball look even worse. Yo, the guy was clearly trying to exploit his sons in order to make money, in order to build this brand. Not only forcing Lonzo to deny working with Adidas and Nikes to start his own brand, but also taking his other sons out of high school and college to go play overseas. Just doing all sorts of just not cool things. It's not cool whatsoever, but in the end, look where it got him. His business is done. BBB, it's over. And not only that, more importantly, he damaged his relationship with his son, maybe to beyond repair. I mean, that's awful. LeVar, you should be absolutely ashamed of yourself for this. I don't like putting people on blast like this. I don't want to do this stuff anymore, but LeVar, come on, guy. Come on. This is a terrible, terrible look. But yo, shout out to Lonzo Ball for finally taking control of his own destiny, getting out from his father's shadow, leaving his father's grand plan for him, and starting his own thing. Because now with all of this behind him, I expect Lonzo to have a much smoother sailing career. Hopefully the injuries will tone down now since he's not going to be wearing those shoes anymore. But dang, this is just all bad. All freaking bad. That though is going to cover everything that we have to talk about today. Let me know what you guys think about all of this down in the comment section below. How do you feel about Lonzo Ball's injuries being related to the shoes that he was wearing? Let me know especially about that down in the comment section below. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future videos. But with all of that being said, you guys already know that you are the real MVP, so until next time, keep getting the buckets, Team SDC, and I am out of here. Peace!